The relationship between Canada and the United States has long been defined by deep economic ties, shared security interests, and cultural connections. For decades, the two nations operated as close allies, working together on global issues and trade agreements. But in recent years, the relationship has taken a dramatic turn. The shift became even more pronounced following the election of Mark Carney as Canada's new Prime Minister, marking a major political realignment driven largely by the political and rhetoric of President Donald Trump. So what exactly changed, and why has Canada, once one of America's strongest partners, started distancing itself from Washington? Let's break down the key events that have led to this growing rift and what it means for the future of both nations. The election of Mark Carney as Prime Minister wasn't just another political victory, it was a turning point for Canada. His rise to power was unexpected, given that the Conservative Party had held a commanding lead of up to 20 percentage points in the polls. But everything changed when President Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. These trade restrictions sent shockwaves through the Canadian economy, disrupting businesses, hurting agriculture, and fueling widespread anger across the country. As public frustration mounted, Carney emerged as the figure who promised to push back against what many saw as economic bullying. Right from the start, Carney made his stance on Trump's policies crystal clear. In one of his first major speeches, he described Trump's trade actions as the most significant crisis of our lifetime, accusing the U.S. president of deliberately trying to weaken Canada for America's benefit. It wasn't about economics. It was about national dignity and sovereignty. His bold words resonated with a population that had grown increasingly disillusioned with its southern neighbors' leadership. If you are finding this deep dive into the U.S. Canada relations interesting, don't forget to like and share this video. It helps more people understand these critical global shifts. Trump's dismissive attitude toward Canada wasn't limited to trade policies. His infamous remark that Canada isn't a real country and suggestions that it should become the 51st U.S. state further inflamed tensions. But it wasn't just Canada taking offense. Other nations took note as well. Greenland and Panama found themselves unexpectedly dragged into the mix when Trump claimed they were eager to join the United States. The response was swift and unambiguous. Greenland's local media mocked the idea, while Panamanian journalists firmly rejected any suggestion of integration. These instances highlighted a broader trend. Global trust in the United States was eroding, and former allies were beginning to push back. The damage to America's reputation extended beyond diplomatic circles. Comedian Chris Rock's viral stand-up routine, in which he ridiculed Trump's presidency as nothing more than a chaotic reality show, struck a nerve. His jabs at Trump's business failures and infamous moments, like staring at a solar eclipse without glasses, became internet sensations. While performance was meant to entertain, it reinforced a growing perception that the U.S. was becoming less reliable as a global leader. As tensions escalated, Canadian leaders weren't just standing by, they were taking action. Ontario's Premier Doug Ford threatened to cut energy supplies to the U.S., a move that underscored how far Canada was willing to go to defend its economic interests. The province's leadership made it clear, if the U.S. continued its aggressive trade policies, Canada was prepared to respond with equally tough measures. One of the most significant retaliatory moves came in the form of a $100 million contract cancellation with Elon Musk's Starlink. While Musk's satellite internet project promised technological benefits for Canada, the government made a calculated decision to prioritize sovereignty over economic convenience. Canadian officials also leveraged the country's vast mineral wealth as a strategic bargaining tool. Nickel, a critical resource for technology and electric vehicle production, became a point of contention. Ontario's government considered limiting exports to the U.S. a decision that could have sent shockwaves through American industries reliant on these essential materials. What do you think? Should Canada continue to take a tough stance on trade with the U.S. or should it seek a more cooperative approach? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Canada wasn't alone in its growing skepticism toward U.S. policies. Mexico, under President Claudio Sheinbaum, demonstrated a firm resolve to protect its sovereignty. Public demonstrations in Mexico City reinforced the nation's stance against external interference, reflecting a broader movement among U.S. allies to assert their independence. Meanwhile, European nations, having faced their own struggles with Trump-era policies, were also drawing closer together. The European Union, once divided on trade and economic priorities, found renewed unity in resisting unilateral U.S. actions. Similarly, Ukraine under President Volodymyr Zelensky continued to solidify global support against external pressures, demonstrating that smaller nations could rally international backing against aggressive policies. The U.S. economy under Trump's administration faced turbulent times. Stock market volatility, declining consumer confidence, and uncertainty surrounding trade policies created an unpredictable business environment. His erratic tariff decisions, often imposed and then reversed without warning, left businesses scrambling to adjust, further weakening investor confidence. One of the most contentious issues remained energy trade. Canada supplies a significant portion of America's crude oil and natural gas. Any disruption in this sector would have severe economic consequences for both nations. While some in Canada argued for cutting off oil exports as leverage, others warned of mutual economic harm. Still, the debate highlighted the extent of the deteriorating relationship. British Columbia even proposed tolls on the U.S. commercial trucks and restrictions on liquor imports from certain states. The Canadian federal government, not one to back down, imposed new tariffs on American goods. The measures signaled that Canada was not afraid to engage in an economic standoff if necessary. Canada's trade policies began shifting dramatically. The government turned to the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership and expanded economic ties with Europe through the CETA. By diversifying its trade partners, Canada aimed to reduce its reliance on the U.S. and secure a more stable economic future. The lessons of past trade disputes, such as the long-running softwood lumber conflict, served as a reminder that tensions with the U.S. were nothing new. However, the current political climate demonstrated an unprecedented resolve from Canada to stand its ground. The energy sector remained one of the most significant points of leverage. Any disruptions in Canadian crude oil and mineral exports would have severe repercussions for U.S. industries, particularly in auto manufacturing and technology. Canada's decision to impose two-phase retaliatory tariffs on both consumer goods and critical industries showed a level of strategic planning designed to maximize impact. Public sentiment in Canada overwhelmingly supported these moves. While economic sacrifices were acknowledged, there was a strong national consensus that protecting sovereignty and independence was worth the cost. The tensions between Canada and the U.S. are more than just a temporary dispute. They represent a fundamental shift in global alliances and trade relationships. As Canada, Mexico, and European nations push back against unilateral U.S. policies, it's clear that the era of unquestioned American dominance is fading. The strategies deployed now will shape the future of international relations for years to come. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching.